Good afternoon, I am Jeff Hansen, and today I will be talking to you about the way in which strangers interact with each other and the social spaces of a city. To begin with, I'll go over quickly what a home territory is. A home territory can be thought of as a home away from home. This is a social space in which people feel comfortable even among strangers. I refer to people who frequent home territories as regulars, who will often develop relationships with others who frequent their home territory, whether that be employees or other patrons. A prime example of a home territory that is common among many urban centers is Chinatown. It is common for people with similar cultural backgrounds to colonize public land in an attempt to reduce the dauntingness of the anonymity of the urban center. What about those who are outside their home territories? The city can be pretty overwhelming, full of strange people that they have never met in their lives. Thus, it is common to see people avoiding the city and trying to minimize direct interactions with strange others. The two most common archetypes are the nester, term coined by Lynn Laughlin, and my own term, the android. Now, the android can be seen on almost every bus, coffee shop, walking down the street, namely anywhere you go. The android will often have headphones plugged in, they'll be on their phones or computers, which sets up an invisible force field, a barrier, if you will, to isolate themselves from the people around them. They're creating a private space within the public or social space. You may ask yourself, why do people do this? Upon talking to a few friends of mine, we came to the conclusion that they are partaking in something that is personal, known, and comforting amongst a world of strangers in unknown circumstances. The nester, unlike the android, is more stationary and place-based. They will often have numerous items which they spread around themselves to expand their personal zone. Let's take a look at an example. In this rendering, my friend and I are in green, the coffee shop employees are in yellow, the stranger patrons are in blue, and our subject is in red. Upon entering, she spots the empty table on the left-hand side and places her glove there as if to mark her territory. She then proceeds to the front counter, where she has a brief exchange with the employees, in which she orders a beverage. After getting her drink, she places her bag and jacket on the one chair, while she sits in the opposing chair and takes out some books and arranges them on the table. She is a textbook example of a nester. Apparently displeased with the arrangement, she moves the chair with her belongings around to the side of the table, and then she moves the entire table a few centimeters away from the gentleman next to her. It may be that she is in a home territory and feels entitled to move her temporary belongings, being the chairs and the table. Or perhaps she feels uncomfortable being in such close proximity to a stranger. But when and how do people actually interact with strangers in social settings? Well, I'm glad you asked. There are three aspects to conventional encounters with strangers that one should consider. They are desirability, legitimacy, and appropriateness. Desirability is one's desire to speak with that person. Does this person look like someone that you would want to associate yourself with? Legitimacy has to do with the expectedness of an encounter. If a group of strangers has a shared experience, the chances of an encounter are much greater. Appropriateness reflects the location of the interaction. If one is in their home territory, it is more likely that they will interact with a stranger than if they are in a non-familiar social setting. Let's take a look at another example. Here we are in an elevator.
Like the last example, my friend and I are in green, the strangers are in blue, and the key subject will be in red. Upon reaching the third floor, one stranger, in the back corner, politely asked to leave. Without a word, the rest of us arranged ourselves to maximize space for her to exit. Once she left, we rearranged ourselves back inside the elevator to maximize personal space. Frantic to catch the elevator, our subject ran and stuck her foot in the closing door, which caused it to reopen. Upon seeing that the elevator was crowded, she deduced that there was not sufficient space for herself, and angrily exclaimed, "Screw that!" before storming off towards the stairs. Upon having this bizarre shared experience, when the doors closed, the elevator erupted in laughter and conversation about what had just happened. Before reaching our destination, one girl even stated how she felt connected to everyone in the elevator. And though our interaction was enjoyable, it was brief, for when the doors opened, we all scattered in our separate directions. The interaction was probably desirable by most, seeing as we were all university students. It was legitimized by the shared experience, and appropriate in that the elevator was on campus, which is probably a home territory for most of the elevator riders.
Well, that's all the time we have. I hope you learned a whole lot. I know I sure did. If you see me in the real world, don't be a stranger. Take care and have fun.